into Louisville Speedway, bringing a ton of canned goods this past Saturday night as part of a very special promotion with 96 QMF and Kentucky Harvest to bring a lot more food and help out the great work the Kentucky Harvest does. And Louisville Speedway thrilled to be a part of it. That's just part of all the great action this past weekend at Louisville Speedway, and we're going to recap it right now here on Channel 15's Louisville Speedway. Let's go racing. Hi again, everyone. I'm Scott Douglas. We'll get over to Frank Scott in just a moment and check on all the highlights from two big nights of racing, including the first ever special event for the rookie figure eights. Want to remind you, though, that coming up this weekend, got some great things going on. Two big nights of racing, and want to remind you that on Friday night, a little extra on the line for our Pronto Auto Parts Monroe figure eight drivers is they're in the second half of a two-part bonus series, so you know they'll all be getting after it. And don't forget all the races this coming weekend with just a couple of weeks left to go to decide this year's Louisville Speedway season championships. Each race is expected to be really even tougher and tighter than ever before. So plan on getting out here. Still plenty of summer left and a lot of great action here at Louisville Speedway with racing this Friday and Saturday. But now it's time to look back to all the action of this past weekend. And with the highlights, here's Frank Scott.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Louisville Motor Speedway right here on WKPC Channel 15. I'm Frank Scott. We're going to take a look back at the great racing action here at the NASCAR-sanctioned Louisville Motor Speedway. And we got the racing action started last Friday evening with the Pronto Auto Parts Monroe Shock Absorber figure eight division going into action with Danny Blackwell leading the point standings towards his third track championship in the figure eight division, if he can stay on top of the standings. We'll see how Danny Blackwell, along with the rest of the figure eight competitors, did last Friday evening as well. The Winston Martin Landscaping Sportsman Division now. We have Rick Irwin leading the point standings as we enter the final few weeks of racing here at Louisville Motor Speedway. But there's other sportsman competitors as well, like Scott Dewey and Chuck Barnes, Chuck Winders, and the list goes on as to who may challenge Irwin for the season title. In the Rookie Bomber Division, the place you start out racing here at Louisville Motor Speedway. We'll take a look at two feature events for that division. And now let's look back at last Friday evening. Action now in the 30-lap main event for the Winston Martin Landscaping Sportsman Division, and in the early portions of the event, it's the number 91, the right-weight grinding saw and tool racing Chevrolet Camaro of Marshall Jaggers, who's challenged on the outside by car number 8, the 1991 Sportsman Track champion of Chuck Winders. Chuck had 3 feature wins to his credit going into this weekend's racing action, and a $500 bonus from right-weight grinding saw and tool company if he could win his 4th. They race back into turns 1 and 2 in the early portions of the event. A few laps later, the battle for third place develops between David Mack, driving car number 07, the B&J Trolling Motors, Bill's Body Shop and Sadler's Auto Parts Racing Chevrolet, and the number 5 of Chuck Barnes, the Robert Hobart Trucking Company, Barnes Auto Service, and Frederick Auto Supply Racing Chevrolet. There's the Main Electrical Equipment Racing Chevrolet Camaro, car number 30 of Bruce Mingus, and the Churchill Downs Racing Camaro of Scott Toohey racing into turns 1 and 2, while the number 53, that evening's fastest qualifier, Joe Williamson Jr. in the Tumbleweed Tex-Mex Restaurants Racing Chevrolet, and the number 90 of Rick Irwin in the Banquet Table Buffet Camaro race together. With the number 8 of Chuck Winders and Marshall Jaggers in hot pursuit, a 3-car accident on the back straightaway involving Scott Toohey as well as Scott Walters, and the number 1 of Donnie Sullivan brought out a caution flag period. The restart of the event saw Chuck Winders taking the lead back away, and the number 91 of Marshall Jaggers slipping back into the second place position. Chuck Barnes running at 3rd, while the number 3 of Rick Harris, the Chardine Mechanical Delta Electric Racing Chevrolet Camaro, also running inside the top 5. A couple of more caution flag periods kept the top 5 bunched together, but on the last lap of the contest, it was the number 8 moving down into turns 3 and 4, sponsored by McDonald's Restaurant, Jasper Engines and Transmissions, and Foley Automotive. Chuck Winders wins his 4th feature of the year at Louisville Motor Speedway and claims the right-way grinding saw and tool, first to win for a bonus of $500. Marshall Jaggers, ironically in the right-way grinding saw and tool racing Chevrolet Camaro, hits the line at 2nd for his best feature event finish of the 1992 racing season, while Chuck Barnes, along with Rick Harris and Rick Irwin, and rounded out the top 5. And there's the most successful driver at Louisville Motor Speedway, the number 8 of Chuck Winters. Taking a look now at the 25-lap main event for the Pronto Auto Parts Monroe Shock Absorber Figure 8 division. And on the inside pole position, it's the number 8, the Mike Dierof's Amco Transmission Center, ALL Auto Salvage Racing Chevrolet of Charlie Hartz, who becomes the early race leader. The battle is definitely back at second between the number 96 of Chuck Angus, the leading Rookie of the Year contender in the Figure 8 division, and the number 80 of Butch Winters in the Auto Body Panels, Tom's Garage and Body Shop Racing Chevrolet. Dave Staten having a good run in the early portion as the number 07 is just outside the top 5 as they race out of turn number 2 and down through the intersection. Larry Clemens inside the top 5 as well, car number 75. Soon the battling for the lead became very vicious as the number 8 of Charlie Hartz fights to maintain control of first place. Then Butch Winters in car number 80 looked like he had a shot to take the lead. Then it's Chuck Angus in car number 96 on the inside, who sweeps past the inside of Charlie Hartz and right at the intersection takes over the number 1 spot. A few laps later, it was Larry Clemens in the number 75 while racing with Dave Staten and trying to put a lap on the number 88 of Tom Winters when their cars collided in the first turn. Later on in the event, with Chuck Angus, the race leader, the number 80 of Butch Winters running in second, Jeff Roberts moves into the number 3 position and brings along Bobby Johnson in the 00. Just behind him, it's Tony the Iceman Conway, the defending Figure 8 track champion at Louisville Motor Speedway and 2-time Figure 8 track champion, the 77 of Danny Blackwell, racing with Buck Skaggs in car number 2. But when the white flag appeared, it was Chuck Angus who repeatedly had to turn back challenges from Bobby Johnson in the 00 as they move over to turn number 4. The driver of the Wheeler's Body Shop, Jesse's Restaurant sponsored Buick, comes away with his first A feature event victory, quite unusual for a rookie in this division. Bobby Johnson crossed the line at second, but was later disqualified for having oversized valves in the cylinder head of his engine. That brings Tony Conway up to the official finishing position of second, driving the right way grinding saw and tool entry, and then finishing up at third, Danny Blackwell, the 2-time Figure 8 track champion, and Butch Winters rounding out the top 4. Chris Harmon won the B feature along with Dennis Knoll finishing up at second and Rick Lovingood rounding out that top 3. And in the 20-lap feature events for the Ken Tyree Auto Care Center General Tire Rookie Bomber Division, it's B.J. Strickland driving the Able Auto Parts Glenview Insurance sponsored Chevrolet Impala, taking the victory over Sean Guest and Jerry Dowell. In the second feature event, it was Rick Jackman driving the Louisville City Police entry to victory, car number 911. Jeff Johnson finished second and Pat Kramer at third. Bill Fessenden won the C feature over Brian Elmore and Tom Orr. So congratulations to this week's feature event winners from Friday evening here at Louisville Motor Speedway. One of those feature event winners came away with a big victory a couple of weeks ago here at Louisville Motor Speedway in the WAMZ Metal Center Bluegrass 300. Chuck Winters. And Chuck, as you've just seen, has collected his 4th feature win of the season in the Winston Martin Landscaping Sportsman Division. This driver's really on a roll here at Louisville Motor Speedway, but Scott Douglas has caught up with him.
Thanks, Frank, and indeed, Chuck Winters, maybe let's use the term second win because you're certainly finishing with a kick in terms of this racing season. You guys got to be excited about the way you're running right now.
Well, we have our lucks changed around just a little bit, and I think we've got the car of the late model here about where we wanted. You know, of course, we got it there in time for the 300.
Let's talk about that 300 just a little bit. And some of the coverage in the paper, and a lot of people had a tendency to say, you know, oh, Chuck got a big break. And certainly there wasn't anybody to press you when Metters got his problems late in the race. But I know you were confident that even if he was on your tail, you had plenty of car for it.
Well, we felt good for about the last 3 weeks. Of course, you know, the car, we broke an axle ourselves 3 weeks ago, and then the week before the 300 was going to run, we really felt good because we had tried some new things on the car and it worked out for us. As far as the 300 goes, everything went the way we wanted it to go. As far as when we pitted, we weren't worried about lap money. You know, we have been there before on that deal, but we wanted to be there when the checker fell.
And you were, and you know, we were talking about the crew you put together and having Royce Foley down there, crew chief, and you had an awful lot of experienced guys in there. It looked like the team was kind of really in sync. You guys had a good plan and it worked. Well, they've been with me for 3 years. First year that Royce has been out there with us, but Scott Toohey and Mickey Clyer has been out there with me. And we've had some good runs in the past in the 300. And so this was nothing new to us. And of course, we went to school off the past 2 or 3 that we've run. So we felt real confident coming in. Obviously, it worked out. Great win for you. And you've got a little bit of all of them, but you're able to keep it up front here. And you know, when you come down the stretch, there's nothing like that experience, is there? Because these are crucial wins, especially in your NASCAR region. Well, someone told us last night we moved up to 6th in the region, but we don't race any different right now than we do at the first part of the year. We're chugging hard every night, but this time of year you should have known something about your car, and we've just been lucky and we found it. On the Friday night car in the Winston Martin Landscaping Sportsman Division, you grabbed Dave Embry's bonus for the right way grinding saw and tool first to win 4. For a while, it looked like it was going to be tough to get that 4th win. Well, I said by this time of year you should know what your car is doing, but we really haven't figured this car out yet. Of course, it was new this year, but we still having some problems with it. But it's got us 4 wins. How about it, Chuck? Now, it looks like the 2 division season championships have kind of slipped away from you. You're going to have good finishes in both divisions. But when you started the year, was the most important thing the NASCAR region and to run strong both nights, or do you even look at all that and let it all play as the season goes on? Well, it's a goal to finish in the top 10 in the region, and then that's just a higher goal than winning track championships. Of course, with Phillips 29 out of 30 wins, it's kind of hard to run against somebody like that. But it's a goal that you set, and Friday night we'd like to win the championship, and Saturday night we'd like to win the championship, but and every night we come over we want to win. But this late in the year, we've realized that the late model championship has gotten away from us, but not on Fridays. We'll never give up on that yet. That's true. You're still in there. We weren't putting the coffin, the nails in the coffin yet on that. But you mentioned Larry Phillips, and I wanted to bring him up real quick because I'm not taking nothing away from the national champion, and he's having another great year, 32 of 33 wins. But I think the consensus around here and watching what you do is that if he was out here pulling every week, he wouldn't be pulling 32 out of 33 wins with this kind of competition on Friday and Saturday here at Louisville Speedway. No, as tight as competition is here on Fridays and Saturdays, no one's going to post that kind of victory. Put that many wins just be unheard of around here. So I guess, you know, when you kind of even it up, you guys got to be really excited about if you can finish strong where you're at right now in comparison. Well, if you can fight these guys Friday and Saturday night and finish in the top 10 in the region, which I think we've got the toughest competition in any place that that we've raced. And we hold our own when we go to Florida and race against some of what they call the best in the country. And I would rather race against the guys in Florida every week than I would have to come back here and face these guys every Friday and Saturday. Well, you got a few more weeks of them. Good luck the rest of the way, Chuck. Thank you very much. Chuck Winder's on a roll right now in competition both Fridays and Saturdays here at Louisville Speedway.
So there you have it, Chuck Winders, the winningest career feature event driver here at Louisville Motor Speedway, a 4-time most popular driver, a 2-time track championship. Things are looking good in 1992 for Chuck Winders, especially since he's back in victory lane more often. We'll take a look at the great racing action with Chuck Winders and the rest of the Winston Bush late model drivers, along with the Dial 1 Oval Bombers, the Ken Towery Auto Care Center, General Tire Mini Stockers, and of course the all-new Banquet Table Buffet Rookie Figure 8 Invitational 50-lap event here at Louisville Motor Speedway, held this past Saturday evening. Let's take a look at the videotapes. In the 40-lap main event now for the Winston Bush late model stock cars, and car number 69, Bill Kimmel Jr. on the inside of the front row, as well as the number 29 of Hank Hartledge as they race off into turns 1 and 2. Preston Ford along with Chuck Winders on that second row as they race down the back straightaway, and then the number 5 of Scott Walters, the 90 of Rick Irwin, as they all make their advances towards the front of the lineup. Joe Williamson Sr. and David Cornetti in car number 83. As they race down the back straightaway, though, it's Bill Kimmel Jr. who is your early race leader. A couple of laps later, though, the battle for second place heated up between the Roadrunner Video Club's Pontiac, car number 5 of Scott Walters, and the Carnival Shoes and Fashions Kentuckiana Service Center and St. Matthews Imports Racing Chevrolet Lumina of Preston Ford. Ford drops back to third place. Now the battle at fourth between the number 90 of Rick Irwin, the Banquet Table Buffet Pontiac, and car number 8, the Craig and Landreth Cars Racing Buick Regal, car number 8 of Chuck Winders. Winders eventually got around Rick Irwin to take away fourth place, then passed Preston Ford and took over third. He now puts the pressure on the outside of Scott Walters and takes away second place. And the winner of the Bluegrass 300 from just a week ago looked very strong last Saturday evening as well. That evening's fastest qualifier, Roland Isaacs in the Apex Trailer Service Company Buick, and super successful 9-time feature event winner Larry Metters did not charge to the front of the lineup so fast in the mid portions of the event. Now the number 5 of Scott Walters claims second place back away from Chuck Winders, but Winders battles right back along the outside. Still, it's Bill Kimmel Jr., the race leader. And on the final lap of the contest, Bill Kimmel Jr. used the number 99 of Larry Clyer to block off any oncoming traffic and claimed his fourth feature event of the 1992 racing season for Colin Chevy Geo, as well as Wave 3, B&J Custom Carpentry, and Rob's Touch of Class window tinting. It was Chuck Winders who rebounded to finish up at second place, while Scott Walters finished third. Ron Phillips had a good run at fourth place, and that evening's fastest qualifier, Roland Isaacs, came across the line at fifth. There he is, Bill Kimmel Jr., the number 69, a great second-generation driver, and up at the head of the class as well in 1992 in the point standings. Well, I'll tell you what, 96 cents and a canned good for Kentucky Harvest certainly brought the race fans out last Saturday evening at Louisville Motor Speedway, and we were able to do one of our famous waves as the Speedway was jammed near capacity last Saturday evening. Which brings us to the 50-lap Banquet Table Buffet Rookie Figure 8 Division Invitational event last Saturday evening. And in addition to the regular Saturday night figure 8 crowd, invitations were extended to several of the Friday night figure 8 stars. And in the early going, it's Bobby Johnson along with the number 55 of Jack Mann, the number 6 now of Danny Skaggs running at third place, the number 79 of Greg Witt, and Wayne Shootman rounding out the top 5. Bobby Johnson was able to hold on to the lead up to the mid portion of the event. The number 79 of Greg Witt, though, who is at second place in the point standings, was able to keep the pressure on at second place, while Chuck Angus, running for Rookie of the Year in the Friday night figure 8 division, holds on to the number 3 position, with Butch Winders in the number 80 following, as well as the number 6 of Danny Skaggs. And as the race entered its final portions of the event, the number 96 of Chuck Angus was able to take over the second place spot, with Bobby Johnson the race leader. Dennis Knoll in the number 38 had a good run going, as well as Wayne Shootman in the number 19, and Tim Blackwell in the car number 12 also had appearances inside the top 5. With about 5 laps remaining in the contest, Chuck Angus decided to make a race for the lead and pulls up side by side with Bobby Johnson, but has to slow for traffic at the intersection. And finally, with only 2 laps left, the numbers 00 of Bobby Johnson tries the high side of Harold Murphy. Chuck Angus comes to the inside and takes the lead away momentarily, but then gets hung up with the number 57 of Johnny Hines, who collects the number 06 of Harold Murphy, knocking the car of Chuck Angus, the Jesse's Restaurant Wheeler's Body Shop Racing Chevrolet, out of commission and handing the lead to Bobby Johnson. Johnson led the final 2 circuits unchallenged for the lead and brought the Etherton's Custom Cabinetry Amco Transmission Center Racing Chevrolet to victory in the 50-lap event. It was Jack Mann who recovered to finish up at second, while Timmy Blackwell finished third. It was Wayne Shootman at fourth, and Dennis Knoll rounded out the top 5. And in the 25-lap main event for the Gentire Auto Care Center General Tire Mini Stock Division, it was Dale Thomas, the current point leader and defending track champion in the Mini Stock Division, who needed all 25 laps to make this move around the outside of George Lawrence, and goes on to collect his 7th feature win of the 1992 racing season for Bootleg Barbecue. The car also sponsored by Butyl Bombers Athletic Club and Brian Smith Painting. It was George Lawrence who recovered for second. The 18 of Mike Freeman finishes up at third. And then the second feature event, it was Joe Williamson Jr. collecting the victory over Oliver Thompson and Steve Vincent. And in the 25-lap main event for the Dial 1 Oval Bomber Division, the number 00 of Dean Donahoe driving the Southern Technical Computer Repair, Shakey's Lounge, and Bud Toohey Auto Body Repair Racing Impala makes this move around the outside of Doug Stone's number 59 to claim the lead, and he goes on to collect his second feature event victory of the 1992 racing season. In the B feature, it was Vernon Hayes driving a Ford Thunderbird to victory, and in the C feature, it was Tim Reisinger collecting the victory in the DL Reisinger and Son Painting Contractors Racing Chevrolet. And in the fourth feature event, it was Jeremy Lutz taking the victory over Brad Niehoff. Good look at one of our superstars here at Louisville Motor Speedway, Preston Ford. And as he heads into the final weeks of the racing season, he finds himself at 6th place in the point standings in the Winston Bush late model division. Of course, he's set to roll out onto the track here in just a few minutes to take his practice session. And Preston is surely one of the hot dogs here at the Speedway. But there can only be one top dog of the week. And for that, let's go to Scott Douglas.
Time now to honor the top racing performance of this past weekend at Louisville Speedway as we hand out the Top Dog of the Week award. And this week's award goes to Chuck Angus, who had a super weekend on Friday night, winning the Pronto Auto Parts Monroe Figure 8 feature. And of course, very impressive for any rookie to ever win an A feature in Figure 8 racing. Then he comes back on Saturday night and actually had the lead with 2 laps to go in that big rookie Figure 8 Invitational before the wreck on the final lap cost him a chance at the victory. So a great weekend, and we congratulate our top dog, Chuck Angus.
I tell you what, we've seen our share of hits and misses here at this past weekend at the Speedway, and of course that always brings us to the portion of our program called the Greatest Hits of the Week. Standing alongside with David Allen, the driver of the John Deere tractor, who is always on the scene whenever there's an accident here at the Speedway. And I tell you what, we've seen our share of fender benders here at the Speedway so far this summer.
Yeah, we sure have. There's been a lot of them this year.
I tell you what, that hasn't made your job any easier, has it? When you have to bring the John Deere and the Sweepster out, of course, provided by Louisville Tractor Incorporated, the John Deere Wrecker Service, they've got to tow those cars in and get the racing back into action, right?
That's right.
Okay, well, let's take a look back at the videotapes and see who had some fender benders here at the track over this past weekend.
So you want to drive a race car? Well, that's what the president of Banquet Table Buffet Restaurants, Dixon Epperson, said. And Terry Scott, one of his drivers, the number 3 in the Oval Bomber Division, decided to let him use his car. And as Friday night's racing action gets underway for the rookie Bombers, Dixon Epperson in the number 3 took a crash course in learning to drive a race car. Later on in rookie bomber racing action and still in the heat races, it's the 053 who had the early race advantage until he turns the car around down in the 4th turn and then gets collected by another back marker. Same race, different faces, and on the front straightaway, the traffic congestion gets heavy going into the 1st turn area, and a pair of cars hit the outside retaining wall. During Sportsman feature event action, opening laps of the contest down into turns 3 and 4, and it's the number 07 of Kevin Gapard who takes a hard hit against the outside retaining wall, bringing out an early caution flag period. From our Figure 8 division, action coming out of turn number 2, as it's the number 19 of Wayne Shootman along with the number 1 of John Basham who collide. During feature event racing action for the rookie Bombers, and it's Sean Guess at car number 94 who gets together with another automobile, customizing the hood of his automobile. And more action from the rookie Bombers as the number 344 tests out the outside concrete wall going into the 1st turn. Well, during the running of the 50-lap rookie Figure 8 Invitational, the number 10 of Tom Wheeler stops at the intersection, and Johnny Hines at car number 57 decides to climb in the trunk with him. More more great racing action from the Rookie Figure 8 Invitational, and Rick Lovegood in car number 11 strikes Larry Clemens and then loses not one but both rear wheels and tires from the machine. Also from the Rookie Figure 8 Invitational 50-lapper, and it's David Doyle who gets captured by the number 27 of Louisville City Police Officer Rick Hine. On the start of a mini stock feature event going out of turn number 2, it's Jim Walters, the 32 of Joe Bartles, and the number 00 of Oliver Thompson, and the number X of Dave Moran, as well as the number 41 of Jeff Caudell getting captured together up in the second turn area of the speedway. And in the Dial 1 Oval Bomber division, it's the number 89 of Tony Thomas who gets together with Carl Hamlet and then slams into the side of Brian Guess in car number 52.
Well, we started the show talking to you about the charitable efforts on behalf of Kentucky Harvest. Louisville Speedway, along with River City Distributing and Miller Genuine Draft Beer, also very excited to be a part of helping the Easter Seals raise money with something, Frank Scott, that we've done for the last few years, and that is the donation of a mini car. And actually, Miller and River City Distributing donate the car and some of the efforts to the Easter Seals. And of course, we help the folks at Easter Seals, and then they bring out their people to sell chances, and they raise a lot of money. And I'll tell you what, kids, this is a really neat prize. You get out here between now and Demo Derby night, which is Sunday, September the 6th. You want to take a shot at trying to win this. And again, all the proceeds go to Easter Seals.
That's right, kids. You can be the terror on your block with a Rusty Wallace look-alike NASCAR Pontiac Grand Prix. And of course, it's got the proud sponsors there on the side of the car. And Scott, it's just one of the numerous ways we get involved with the charity here at the Speedway. And it's really great that we can do something for the community, and the community can enjoy the great entertainment of stock car racing.
Coming up this weekend, once again, 2 big nights of action. And you know, Frank, there's just a few weeks left to decide these season championships. And even the divisions where we've got a pretty good idea who may be about to claim the title, there's a lot of jockeying for position back in the fields. And when you consider that most of the divisions pay the top 20 in points, there's a lot of money left to be claimed in these last few weeks. And I think when we see the end of August and the beginning of September, we see the intensity level raise just that little extra bit.
It sure is, Scott. You know, again, although the season titles have not been decided mathematically by the points, you're right, over the past couple of weeks we've seen a few drivers break away from the pack. But as you well documented, there's plenty of point fund money to be distributed throughout the top 10 and throughout the top 20 in some cases in our racing divisions here. So these drivers are going harder than ever, especially over these final few weeks.
And don't forget, this Friday, our regular Prime Auto Parts Monroe Figure 8 guys have a little extra to go on because they'll be running for their shares of that bonus money from a 2-night effort this week. And of course, Saturday, all the divisions will be in action. And then we look into September, Frank, and I call it a September of specials. We'll talk about it, but just about every week there's something great going on. Really every night, incredible specials here at the Speedway as we wrap the season up with a wild month of action.
Well, I tell you, Scott, again, we don't want to close the doors on the 1992 racing season without seeing some great events and some new ones being brought into the Speedway as well for this schedule.
So we'll be talking about those in coming weeks. And of course, you know, you've got the best seat in the house every Wednesday night right here on Channel 15. Till next week, I'm Scott Douglas.
And I'm Frank Scott. And tune in each and every Wednesday evening as well as Saturday mornings right here on WKPC Channel 15.